Hi friends, in this video we are going to discuss about AC current versus DC current. So here first thing, here this is AC current and this one is DC current. So first point is representation. How we are going to representing the AC current and DC current. Now here AC always represents alternating current. DC always represents the direct current. Okay, so alternating current means AC current, direct current means DC current. Now coming to the definition, what is alternating current and what is direct current? Now see, the definition of alternating current is, in an electrical and electronic circuit, the current which flows in both the directions, that is what, with a positive and a negative lead at a constant frequency, is called alternating current. But in case of DC, in an electrical and electronic circuit, the current flows only in one direction, that is always positive lead, is called as direct current. It means what? For alternating current, the current direction having both positive and negative. But in case of direct current, the current direction follows only positive sign. Now the third one, that is current. So AC flows in a bidirectional way, DC flows in a unidirectional way. It means what? Alternating current flows in positive to negative or negative to positive, but here the DC current always flows in unidirectional. And coming to the voltage, now it works on the AC source voltage, that is maybe it may be 100 volts, 240 volts, 11 kV, 33 kV, etc. But in case of DC, it works only on the sources like 5 volts, 12 volts, 24 volts and etc. It means what? In case of DC, the value of voltage is always very less, but in case of AC, the value of voltage may be in the kilovolts and megavolts. And the next one, that is power. Now AC source produces real power as well as reactive power. Here real power represents with a capital P, reactive power represented with a capital Q. It means what? AC source produces real power as well as reactive power. But in case of DC sources only produces real power, not reactive power. And coming to frequency, we know that in AC circuit, the value of frequency is always varies from 50 to 60. And in India, only we are using mostly 99% 50 Hertz frequency we are using. That is the reason, that is the reason why AC has a variable frequency, and usually this value is vary from 50 Hertz to 60 Hertz. But in case of DC, the value of frequency is 0. So that current does not flow with the frequency. And the next thing is direction, magnitude and details in 14 numbers point. For example, see here, direction and magnitude. In terms of direction and magnitude, the direction and magnitude of AC are always varying with the time. But in case of DC, the direction and the magnitude of DC can't change with respect to time. It means what? For example, if I am going to draw the waveform for the AC, it will shows the alternating voltage or alternating current, and this is always change with respect to time. Okay, so this is the time axis and the magnitude of this voltage or current is always what? Change with respect to time. But in case of DC, even though this is the time axis, but there is no change in the magnitude. So that's why, so this is DC and this one is AC. So that is the reason why direction and magnitude of AC are always varying with respect to time, but the direction and magnitude of DC are always can't change with respect to time. And coming to resistive, for limiting AC, reactance X or impedance Z are used. But in case of DC, for limiting DC, only resistance is used, because we know that frequency is equal to 0 in case of DC, so that the value of XL is not present, the value of XC is also not present. That is the reason why in case of AC, in order to limit the current, we are using reactance X and impedance Z. But in case of DC, we are using only resistance, because only the value of resistance is present in case of DC circuit. But all the parameters are present in case of AC circuits. And the next one, that is types. Now AC is classified into different types like sinusoidal, trapezoidal, triangular, square, etc. But in case of DC, DC is classified into only pure or pulsating. Okay, pure or pulsating DC. Now the next one is power factor. In AC circuit, the power factor is always varies from 0 to 1. But in case of DC, the power factor is always 1. That is the reason why in AC, so power factor is equal to 0 to 1, it is varying. But in case of DC, power factor is always unity. Unity means what? The value of power factor is equal to 1. And another one is waveform. So AC waveform or AC wave occurs in the leading or lagging position. But here DC wave occurs only a straightforward position. Okay, so this is the most important point. Now another one, how current is generated. How current is generated in the AC and how current is generated in the DC. Now in case of AC, so AC source is produced by the generator or the power generating plant. But here DC source is always produced by the cell or battery or solar cells. Now coming to another point, that is Ohm's law. Now here the AC circuit does not obey Ohm's law, but in case of DC circuit it does obey the Ohm's law. And we know that Ohm's law is equal to what? I is equal to V divided by R, or we can also call it as V is equal to I into R. So these two formulas we are receiving from the concept of Ohm's law. Now here another one is use. Now it is used in the domestic, commercial and industrial purposes. AC current always used in the domestic, commercial and industrial purposes. But in case of DC, it is used in the electronic circuit and DC appliances. And here transport. AC can be easily transferred to the long distance by using transformer. But in case of DC, DC can't be easily transferred to the long distances. Next, maintenance. It can be easily regulated and maintained. AC always easily maintained and regulated. But here it can't be easily regulated. So DC can't be easily regulated, but AC we can easily regulate it or maintained. So like this we have the different differences between the AC current and DC currents. So thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe my channel for more updates. Thank you.